All right, ready? 1, 2. Oh, you go 3, 2. What's happening, everybody? This is gonna be a new style of video. We're doing what you all asked for. We put a poll out for competitive Pokemon interest, and it sounded like a resounding yes. So today I have with me two of our area's highest, best, most qualified, awesomest Pokemon players, Chris Fulop and Andrew Mahone. So why don't you guys, I'm Dan also, I'm 25% win rate in competitive Pokemon.
How many draws?
1.
Okay.
About 4. So my resume is not great, but let's hear why you guys are here. Chris, why don't you start us off, since you're older.
Thanks, Dan.
No problem.
So I've been playing Pokemon since it came out in 1998. I was an 8-time world competitor from 2004 to 2011. Got second place in 2004, and am a former U.S. Nationals champion in 2007. So
That's quite a list.
It's quite the colorful resume you got there.
well, you're not too much of a
Andrew,
slouch
tell us
yourself,
why
Andrew.
you're here.
I have been playing for about five or 6 years.
Okay.
Started in, I think 2012. In that time, I was able to win a regional championship in 2015. Also got 9th place at Worlds that year in 2015. This year, I got 2nd place at a regional championship in Fort Wayne. And also, I'm coming off of a 7th place finish at the North American Intercontinental Championships, which was the largest Pokemon trading card tournament ever held. 1,356 masters in attendance.
That's many masters?
Yeah.
I thought that was the total amount of players.
No,
Oh,
it's
Did
just
you look
masters
that one
alone.
up? The exact number?
Yeah, that's the exact number. Yeah, that's
So
the exact
7
number.
out
So,
of
not bad. Yeah, not
1,400
bad.
people. That is quite an accomplishment.
Little bit.
Thank you.
That was just
little-
this weekend.
That was
right?
just this past weekend. Yeah.
So congratulations.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Awesome finish.
Little bit more attendance than when I had my national success.
How many were
Nationals
yours?
being the new equivalent of,
Right.
the old
The same
equivalent of
tournament, right?
Intercontinentals,
Pretty
more or
much.
less. Yes, very similar.
So you all wanted us to give you a glimpse into what the competitive Pokemon scene is like, and so today we're just going to start off with introducing these guys, and we're going to do a rundown of Andrew's tournament, how he prepared, what he brought to the table, and just hit some highlights from the event, basically, and that's where we're going to start. So hopefully that's okay with you. This is an unpolished version, so you know how we do things here.
We'll rein it in as time goes by, I
Yeah,
promise.
or not, one of the two,
We
black
hope.
screen. Maybe we'll put some stuff words above us. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? So let's start with, how'd you prepare for the event?
Cool. So I have a bunch of friends that I like to play and play test with. I have, first of all, my girlfriend, Kirsten, who's going to be working for the main channel as well.
Yeah, she's been in a couple videos.
Right. So we
Good
play.
luck finding them.
We play together. we play together, and we practice together. Also, one of my neighbors, Natalie, we play test, and then I have some teammates. JW Creewall came over to my place. So I've been playing probably just for the month and a half leading up to the tournament, just practicing regularly. As far as just keeping an eye on what decks are doing well. Right. Might just meet up for an afternoon and get a couple games in here and there. Now I was able to get my world invitation, my invitation to the World Championships this year. I got it probably about 2 months ago. So at that point I stopped traveling to
Cool down a little bit.
I cooled down a little
Yep,
bit, and I just kind of focused my energy in on playtesting at home. I was keeping an eye on what was doing well, but we were just practicing and making sure that we were kind of keeping up on what was relevant in those final 2 months, even though we weren't spending the money to go out and travel around.
Staying fresh.
We were staying fresh.
I
and
actually there's a
go ahead.
question with that.
Yeah.
So you have your invite secured and everything.
I do, yeah.
Does that change how you want to approach a tournament like Nationals, since you're no longer worried about getting a set number of championship points to be able to qualify for Worlds? Or do you approach a tournament like this any different?
A little bit yes and a little bit no. It kind of altered some decisions I made during the tournament as far as, what, did I want to go for a tie, or I'm not just going for the safe play, I'm going for a play to try and win,
That comes up in the
And
tournament, actually,
it does
doesn't
come up in the tournament, right.
We'll probably get a
So
little bit
we
into
can-
that.
we
Sure,
get to
yeah.
that.
Why don't we get to what you brought to the tournament? What did you play with?
I played Zoroark Break Drampa GX. So this was a popular deck that had been going around the tournament scene leading up until Nationals. Very known deck. I would have considered it to be one of the top 2 decks at that point in time. Zoroark, Drampa, and Espeon, Garbodor. Also, it had a very big target on its back. I mean, players were playing, fighting decks just to try and counter it.
Sure.
But I considered it to be probably the deck to beat.
So the best deck, but also the deck to beat, probably. Or
Right.
one of the best couple decks.
So if that's going to be the case, then this is obviously a known quantity as a deck. All the players are going to be familiar with it going into this tournament. What do you do as a player, or more importantly as a deck builder, to differentiate your list, if anything, from what players are used to playing against? Did you have any personal special touches?
Well, we start by just building all the decks because you kind of get lists. You can see lists online for what decks did well. So we started with, kind of the vanilla list that everybody else had been playing, and these are the lists that everybody else is going to have
Results from the
on
last
their
few
tables
tournaments.
right at home when they're play testing, and they're going to feel comfortable either beating this list or they're not going to. So we start with those lists, and we got comfortable with the matchups, and that's how the format had more or less boiled down to, Espeon, Garbodor versus Zoroark, Drampa. And then so I'm like thinking, okay, I feel comfortable with this. I feel comfortable with this vanilla list beating pretty much everything else in the room most of the time. But I know that people are going to try and play things that have a good matchup against it. So I figured Metagross GX, that's a deck that has a very good matchup against Zoroark.
Yeah, we've seen
That just broke out.
Yeah.
The last
a number of stage 2 decks, which had
Right.
not really been a part of the game for a while now, showed up leading into intercontinentals, but such as the Metagross deck, the Vikavolt deck that now
Right.
has Tapu Bulu, I believe.
Yeah.
The promo card, the GX. So that's kind of changed the other types of decks you might have to play against.
Exactly. So I figured Greninja and Metagross were kind of the two decks that I thought had a pretty good matchup against Zoroark, so I figured players might gravitate towards those. I also thought the players might try to get, sneaky and play some fighting decks, even though fighting I consider to be pretty underwhelming archetype.
Pretty anemic right now.
Yeah,
as a
leading
type.
up to Nationals. So I didn't expect any of those decks to do well. So what I did to prepare for that was that I put a Turtonator GX in my deck, which, has kind of been kind of the staple aspect of my list, and what differentiated it is that I played this Turtonator. It's a fire type GX.
How many fire energy did you run
Don't
in your
play
deck?
any fire energy, right? So there's only
Do you
one.
have any rainbow energy?
I played one rainbow energy, but that didn't help
That
me
doesn't
do
quite
anything
get you
on
there.
Do you
Turtonator's
need
card.
2 fire energy?
Yeah, you need at least 2 fire energy to use its second attack. But its first attack is what we're there for. Shell Trap,
Trapping
right?
them up.
So I could use Shell Trap against a metal Pokemon like Metagross. With a Choice Band attached, I could do Shell Trap for 100 damage. Now,
pretty
Metagross,
substantial.
which is pretty substantial for just 1 energy. And then Metagross, has a lot of healing cards. They play Max Potion. So if Metagross heals itself, the problem is then if Metagross then hits into Turtonator GX, then it takes 8 damage counters because of that Shell Trap's effect. So it takes the 8 damage counters, and then one of your Zoroark Break can come up and finish off the Metagross after it's been damaged.
You can hit for 150 back.
Exactly. It also, the Turtonator does well against, if I did happen to encounter any Die Guards, fighting types, things like this. Just gives me another attacker that's not fighting weak, since Drampa and Zoroark are both weak to fighting. So it gave me another strategy to use completely. If I were to run into fighting decks, I could go Tapu Lele and Turtonator and kind of focus on that triangle rather than just being overwhelmed by fighting type Pokemon.
Yeah, because you even saw decks like the Lycanroc Raichu deck, and
Yeah.
there were Mega Rayquaza decks that were running Lycanroc. I know one of the players out of Florida was embracing that approach. So there's
Right.
definitely reason to suspect that fighting types were going to be part of this metagame.
Exactly. And I also found that the Turtonator it helped me versus a lot of the common threats in the metagame as well. It was really good against Drampa because Drampa didn't want to poke it with Righteous Edge because it would take those 8 damage counters and set it up for a knockout from a Zoroark later. It also was really good against Espeon because Espeon's Confusion was a big thing with its Psybeam attack just for 1 psychic energy, and it didn't want to poke Turtonator with that Psybeam either
Don't
because
poke
it would
the
take
turtle.
that. No,
Don't
nobody would.
hurt me.
So what it did was it bought me more time to set up my Zoroarks, which was really valuable.
So would you generally just start with a Turtonator if you had it? Just
If
start
I
with
had
the
it,
guy
and
that's
he
in
always
front?
went out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Lead
you
with
give
the
your-
turtle.
Give your
Lead with the
bench
turtle.
time to build and get to the points you want to
You've got to build up
Exactly.
to stage 1 and quote unquote stage 2
Yeah,
break
Zoroark,
Pokemon as
right,
well.
yeah. They're
So the
both
longer the
stage two
game
tech.
goes without shots being fired necessarily, the better your deck's going to be able to perform.
All right, so you use Turtonator to get an edge on the field, basically,
I did.
and a Righteous Edge, would you say?
I would say.
Yeah, you would. Trapped you with that one. So let's talk about what it's like to be at Intercontinental. So it's a 15 rounds total.
It was a huge tournament, 9 rounds of Swiss
On day one. Right. You start on Friday.
Yep.
How did you finish?
How does your first day go?
Yeah.
First day went really well. I actually started out with a pair of wins, so I went 2-0, and then I had a tie, won another one, and then finally was dealt a loss.
1, 2, 3,
So,
1, 1.
I was like 3-1-1.
Okay.
So at 3-1-1, I knew
It's not
I
the
would
best
have.
record
It's
at
not
the
the
moment.
best record.
Right.
I
couldn't
knew
take
I would
another
have
loss,
to win 4 in a row.
What do you have to do to make day 2 at that event?
You would have to 7 wins guarantees you day 2.
So you had to go 7-1-1 at that point.
I
So
did.
4 wins in a row.
To guarantee it.
Okay.
Now there was going to be a couple of 6-1-2s that's what's called, they kind of either
Okay.
bubbled in or bubbled out.
Gotcha.
So
This is gonna be on the fence.
Were
they're
they-
going to be on the fence whether or not
at
they get in.
6-1-1. Would you consider drawing to get to the second day?
And we're going to get there.
Okay. Let's
So-
let's
I know
try
the
and
answer
get
to
there.
this.
So day 1, I'm 3-1-1, and I know that I'm going to have to win 4 games to make it out. Now,
8 games. 4
now
matches.
nationals, the North American Intercontinental Championships are 50 minutes, best 2 out of 3, and Chris and I will probably make a whole video about this on our
Look
channel.
forward to a
It might
video
get
series
heated.
where they talk for hours on the time constraints of competitive Pokemon.
That was our pre-gaming for this video.
We
actually,
did. We talked
took
about
hours.
it for like an hour and a half, but that's not the topic of this video. So in 50 minutes, best of 3, I was gonna have to win 4. I couldn't afford another tie. I couldn't afford another loss. So I was trying to get myself, psyched up for that run. Pretty much my friend put it. He's like, yeah. So you realized about halfway through your day, you had to play 4 hours of flawless Pokemon. Did that wear on you at all? A little bit, but you try to take it round by round. So I win 3 in a row. Pretty excited. I get to the final round, and my opponent, Zach Lesage, he's really trying to get me to intentional draw with him. So he just wants to get me to tie.
This is also a well-known, very strong player.
He's a
from
very
Canada.
strong player. He's playing this Decidueye Tapu Koko deck, which was kind of the surprise deck of nationals, I would say. I had never played against it before. This Decidueye deck was not playing Vileplume, which most Decidueye decks
Force
were
of Giant
playing
Plants, you might as
up
well,
until this
right?
point.
Yeah.
Right. So it was playing no Vileplume, and it was playing Tapu Koko, the promo,
right?
to spread 20 damage around the field, spread damage with Feather Arrow. And I had already played this deck twice. So I played this deck 3 times on my first day of Swiss. A
It was
deck
your
that
first
I had
time ever
not,
seeing it.
had never seen it, had never smelled it, had never tested against it.
Was that your loss earlier in the day?
It was my loss earlier in the day.
okay.
Little nervous,
So,
probably.
a
You
little
knew
nervous
he was
about
playing
it.
this going into this round.
Exactly. I had tied against it, and I had
lost
against
Never
it.
beat it.
And I knew he was playing it, but my loss to it earlier, I had win in hand. I knew I could beat it.
Okay.
I had win in hand at this point. But it ended up
I'd like to
delinquenting my hand.
Also
away.
point out that taking a draw here puts you at 6-1-2. That's a good move to get to the second day, but is that a good move if you want to win the tournament?
It's not.
It's not, right?
So I'll kind of walk you through that decision. He really wants me to tie, and he's talking to me about it, and he says, probably about 10 out of 18 people with a 6-1-2 record will make it into day 2 of play. But you're going to start at the bottom. So there are 2 flights of like 700 players, right? And you need to finish in the top 32 of each of those flights in order to continue on. So he's saying, probably about 10 out of 18 people will make it into the top 32, but you're going to be in the bottom end of that, 32 players. So
It actually doesn't even seem like particularly great odds. It's
with
almost
the
50% chance to miss.
Exactly. So he's saying there's about a 50% chance you miss. Now, I had given a friend of mine a very hard time for drawing in a very similar situation earlier in the year because he had his, it was a win and in scenario, and I felt like he had wussed out, by taking the tie, and I gave him a hard time because he ended up missing cut.
Sure.
Because his percentages weren't high enough. His
Did you
opponent's
think-
win percentages weren't high enough.
Did you think that you had good breakers starting off 2-0 and then?
No, because
Not
my
particularly?
loss was pretty early in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I was started at 3-1-1, and then I was on a heater, and
Yeah.
I had been winning lately. So I decided that I wanted to play it because I was thinking, you know what? I want to win the tournament. I want to give myself the best odds of starting. So I want to start day 2 with the best record possible. Also, I'd rather go down swinging,
For sure.
instead of just leaving it up to fate. If I make it in, I make it in. If I don't, I don't. It
Now,
didn't really sound attractive to me.
Do you think that your decision might have changed had you not had your invite locked up already?
No,
you
if
just
I
needed
had
some
not had my
points.
invite, I probably would have taken the tie just because what if a certain placement had guaranteed me or something like that?
You need specifics to be able to really flesh that.
You're talking about your
decision
invite that you have to the
For
World Championship
Championship.
because you already had enough points up to this
Exactly.
point.
So at this
in the
point, you know,
season.
it wasn't about earning more points. You know, I already have enough points for the World Championship. I just wanted to win. I wanted to win as much money as I could. I wanted to finish as high as I could. So I was going to go for the win in my last round of day one. And if I lost, you know, I did my best and I left it all out there. So I was able to win that matchup.
Did you
Very
win
close.
the first game?
I won one long game one.
Okay.
It was like a 30, 35-minute game one. And then game two did not complete, even though my opponent was probably a turn or two away from winning. Time was called. Didn't quite get there. We shook our hands. He went along his way. And I advanced to day two. So it was pretty exciting.
7-1-1.
7-1-1.
into day two.
Left me at third seed heading into day two of
that's
competition.
nice.
It's a pretty good spot to be
Yeah.
in. too.
Yeah. it
Oh,
was
in
very
your
exciting.
flight or total in the whole tournament?
In my flight.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. So
Yeah.
there's 32 people that make it from your flight, 32 people from the other flight?
It was like third or fourth seed, something like that.
You were orange flight.
So
I
day
believe?
two
I
is
was orange flight.
64 people?
Might have been like sixth seed. I don't know. I was up there. I was in the top 8 seeds.
Sure.
I was third seed hanging into top 8 later. So,
So
that's
what
probably
time
nice.
is it when you're done with that round?
What time is it? It was actually not bad. The tournament was being run very efficiently. It was
Wow.
probably like, 10, 11 p.m.
Okay. So you have enough
playing
time
all
to
day.
maybe get a hot bite to eat, go to bed, get ready. When you have to be there in the morning.
I had to be there at 8:30.
Now this was in Indianapolis, right?
Indianapolis.
So
right?
what
Is
like
it-
this has been the city that Nationals and now Intercontinentals has been in for a while.
And Gen
Right,
Con, if
but-
anybody ever goes to that.
Right. So it's a really fun city to be
It
in
is a
for
fun
like a
city,
gaming
yeah.
convention or a
Yeah.
tournament. So where'd you end up going eating? We can take a step away from the tournament a little bit, more just the whole weekend as a whole.
I just,
Like,
there's,
You get some ram, you get some steak and shake, you get
I
some
ended up
noodle.
going-
he doesn't look like a steak and shake kind of guy.
I am not a steak and shake kind of guy.
I got the
No, we
read, right?
avoided the steak and
Okay.
shake. The
There's,
steak and shake is front and center.
Fogo de Chow's down
outside.
there. They've got what's a really fancy place
I
with
ended
the
up
shrimp?
going to the Hard Rock Cafe at some
That's
point.
right over there.
I know I went to Noodles and Company at
That's-
some
I was
point.
about to
Company's
ask
my
that
I
favorite.
one.
love Noodles
Oh,
and
yeah.
Company.
Try it, guys.
We ordered pizza. I believe we got pizza after that first night. Just went, and it was like some hot box pizza or something.
Were you in one of the hotels in downtown, or were you?
We were at the
on
Marriott
outskirts?
downtown, so
Okay,
it was
that's
just
walking distance.
pretty close. Yeah,
for sure.
It's
So,
really
it was
convenient,
cool.
just the whole setup.
It
Yeah,
was,
it's always
yeah.
expensive in downtown, but it's the most convenient.
It was. This kind of tournament people save up all year, and we just,
Parking's
kind of with your
$40 a night.
with your best
whatever.
friends, and it was awesome. So we were staying in the hotel.
Did you get some?
with,
Did you like do any practicing that night? Did you get to do, or just eat and sleep?
I was the only one of my friends who made the day 2 of competition, so nobody
help
else
you
wanted to play
prepare?
cards. Yeah, they were all like, "Yeah, Andrew, sorry, we don't really want to play with you." It's fine. I was burnt out, was
Right.
tired,
Yeah,
didn't
you have
want to
to
look
be
at any more cards.
exhausted, right?
We've been practicing for weeks, so.
You need to be well rested for especially after a long day like that.
Exactly.
It's more important than getting a couple more reps in.
So we socialized, we celebrated a little bit, but pretty much just went to bed after that. My friends were very excited. I went into the tournament playing the same list as my friend JW and my friend Andrew Wamble. We all three played the same deck, and I made it in. So we were excited about that. We kind of come to the conclusion to play Zork as a team. So it was pretty rewarding as a team to see one of us, kind of make it out.
So you made day 2. Only one of your compatriots to do so.
Yep.
We get to day 2 at 8:30 in the morning after playing till almost 11
Real
o'clock.
early. All my friends are still sleeping. Yeah.
So you wake up, eat some Dunkin' Donuts,
Take
sponsor
a
the
Cliff,
channel.
a Cliff Bar,
Bar.
and a Red Bull.
we go
Yeah.
into
Do we actually,
round.
Dustin?
We don't have
Oh, this is sponsorship.
We're
joke.
trying.
Got it.
We're trying. We don't
Trying.
have one yet.
I'm new to this.
Okay, so we get there to day 2, 8:30. We sit down with 64 other people.
Yeah.
Talk us through day 2.
Okay, so day 2, I start out against Mega Rayquaza, right? And Zork,
That's my deck.
It's my deck.
It's my deck as
attack.
well.
Does more damage, 10 damage plus 30 more for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Great. Mega Rayquaza literally does more damage for the amount of bench Pokemon that it has. So it has to fill its bench.
For sure.
So it's a great matchup for me. So I'm very excited about it. Game 1, I go in and I execute. I win. We do great. Game 2, my deck just draws crap. Okay, it's
Just
not
like
doing
on a
very
Zora
well.
and nothing.
I Kukui for my first turn of the game. I use
Not your-
Professor
That's the one you want to do
Snorlax.
after your GX.
It increases your damage.
Oh, that's
it's
20
not-
extra damage and
That's
draws
that one, yeah.
a measly 2 cards. Yeah.
drawing really bad. So I let go through the first 2 turns of the game, because I Kukui into a Sycamore, so I'm like, maybe I'll pull this one out. Didn't end up pulling it out. I scoop it up very early. We go to game 3. Game 3 is ending up in my favor, but time's called. We're not able to complete it. So I started off day 1 on a tie.
Okay.
I'm pretty, I'm not super stoked on that because I consider this to be a good matchup, but it's fine.
You want to secure those.
Shake it
and
off.
get 'em.
Shake it off. I kind of told myself, I was like, well, this is the record I'd be at if I had tied my last round yesterday and won this first one today. So we're here.
There you
This is
go.
fine. I end up winning my next round, so I'm at 1-0-1. Feel pretty confident about that. At this point, I'm not playing the Decidueye Coco decks. I'm playing more of the decks that I've prepared to face. I'm playing your Drampa Garbodors. I'm playing your Espeon Garbodors. I'm playing Zoroark Mirrors. This is all my wheelhouse.
These
I've
are
been
going
testing
as planned.
I've been testing against nothing but this stuff for the last few weeks, right? Because we have all the cream of the crop players who are playing the best lists are all right here, and I'm playing against them right now.
So, I've actually got a question on that. Since obviously these decks have longer games between themselves,
Yeah.
it's a little grindier. Do you feel like these are matchups that you can really leverage a game plan and like a skill advantage? And if you prepare yourself,
Yes.
because a lot of matchups are a little more straightforward. Like you get 2 hard hitting decks, they just kind of throw themselves at each other.
Right.
There's not a tremendous amount of play to them, but these matchups all look like they're going to be something that you can really throw some curveballs in with.
Preparedness had really started to show itself. I had a lot of players, kind of open their eyes wide when I dropped my 4th choice band. That was another inclusion that I
really
had
like
that
that
a
choice, by the way.
lot of other players
Choice.
weren't playing.
They just
So
play 3?
they only played 3. The popular decks were only playing 3, and I played a 4th, and it threw a lot of players off. They weren't expecting that. Turtonator, I dropped that versus some people. They didn't really expect it. I had to pick it up and read it.
You gotta
Didn't know
read it,
what I-
right?
Didn't know what they were getting into. But preparedness had really started to show because I had game plans and strategies worked out, and I knew exactly what I was going to do against these archetypes because I'd been testing them for weeks, and so I really felt confident about them. I did take my loss to Sam Chen. He's the number 1 player ranked in the North America, America and Canada continents. He's a number 1 player.
So we start off with a draw.
a draw,
A
a
win,
win,
and
and
then
then a loss.
To
So
Sam,
I'm
you lose.
1,
Okay.
1, and
What
1.
was he playing?
He was playing Drampa Garbodor.
Okay.
Now Sam, very
Other
good
version
player.
of that, kind of.
Yeah, very good player. And his list had just thrown me off. It was a little bit different. He had a couple things in there that I wasn't expecting. Also, just very good player, and I didn't draw very well game 2. So this is fine.
And that was a matchup where if you just took like the stock list, and stock list being like the decks from previous tournaments that
Right.
had done well, just so something people are going to put in their gauntlet to be able to test against, then I think the general consensus is that the Zoroark builds are a little bit favored. That's one of the
Right.
reasons why players actually started kind of gravitate towards the Zoroark decks.
Right.
And then obviously again, you're not playing against stock lists, you're playing against top tier players who
Right.
are taking these lists and then evolving them to be able to beat their bad matchups.
Right.
Or weaker matchups in
Exactly.
this case. And again, it paid off. Like you felt prepared, and his deck was still throwing curveballs at you.
It was.
He also was prepared.
Right.
He was prepared, right? As he would because he's the number 1 ranked
Sure,
player,
yeah.
in America. So
So now we're
Took
in
a loss to
round
him.
1, 2, 3, 12,
and now we
13.
have 6 rounds day 2, and I have 3 rounds to go. And in order to make top 8, I need to win out.
Yeah,
Again,
3-0.
I need to go 3-0.
No pressure.
No pressure. I went 4-0 yesterday, so
Yeah.
I could do 3-0 today.
Why not?
No big deal. I win my next 2 and get into what I like to call a classic win and in scenario, right? There's find myself here all the time. It's fine, always have to never get there
So
early.
if we win, we're in the top 8.
Into top 8.
And we get to play for a bunch of money,
Bunch of
glory,
money.
So what
all
is
that good stuff.
for people at home? What is if you lost, you would have ended up in top 16.
I would have lost. I would have ended up in top 16.
What do you get for top 16 at this event?
$750.
Not exactly chump
plus,
change.
Plus
Pretty good.
some prizes, so you get. So, but I know top 8, I'm at least guaranteed $1,500 plus an entire case of Guardians Rising.
Which is a great set, too.
Pretty exciting stuff, right? Not to mention, I don't even own any Tapu Leles at this point. I know a lot of you guys are going to probably think that's very funny. I don't own
Do
any
I
Tapu
actually?
Leles.
Oh my man.
I am borrowing Tapu Leles, from my friends.
Destroying them as
So-
you shuffle.
Can you give a shout out to whoever just lent
Thank
you
you,
all these Tapu
thank you to
Leles.
Justin Buchter, who's Tapu Leles I borrowed.
He's a good
while
guy.
He's at summer camp.
Probably not getting them back.
Great guy. So I need this case of Guardians Rising.
Right. So we're
you over
in.
I'm
we're
in my
the
final round.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
In my final round, playing against Caleb Gedimer, very good player. He's playing Espeon Garbodor. This is a deck that I feel confident against. This is a matchup I've played. I win game 1. I lose game 2. I scoop game 2 quickly because it's going badly.
Okay, so let's get to a point where you can't draw, right?
We cannot tie.
If you tie, you're both not going to top 8.
Both eliminated. So I scooped game 2 very quickly.
Very imperative to do something like that.
Because I realized that we can't tie, or it's going to knock us both out, right? So we're playing game 3. Game 3 is coming down to the wire. It's 1 prize to 1 prize, or to my 2 prizes. And then I bring up his Espeon, and I copy his GX attack with my Zoroark Breaks, Foul Play, and I knock out one of his benched Pokemon, but I forget to take a prize, right? So this is a big...
So we make a mistake. Mistakes happen all the time. Games really hard.
Sometimes.
Especially in a tournament as long and difficult as this.
15th round of play.
Right. So, crazy. I've got nerves. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. There's an audience gathering around me, watching me. People kind of hawking over, trying to figure out what's going on, because we're one of the few matchups still playing. A lot of them...
And that matter.
And that matter, right? Because one of us is going to make top 8, one of us isn't. Also... Many other of the top 16 players in America are watching our match, because if Caleb wins, he's going to knock other players out of the top 16 rankings. Now, the top 16 rankings get if you're in the top 16 of Canada and the United States, you get a free trip into the day 2 of the World Championships.
That's what it is,
Huge. Hotels. You don't need to play in day 1 of Worlds. You're automatically in day 2. Flights, whatever. It's a great gig. So these people don't want to lose their spots. They don't want Caleb to win, right? They're kind of rooting for me. So I'm there. I forget to take my prize.
Forgot to take the prize. We say go.
He takes his turn. He only has 1 prize left to take. He sycamores. He whiffs the cards he needs. He's distraught. He's looking. He doesn't really have anything to do, but he thinks I have 2 prizes left. So he goes ahead and he promotes his Trubbish active. And he just tries to hit me with Acid Spray. Now I have a double colorless energy in my hand, which is all I need to knock out the Trubbish.
Even if you have the flip on it, right?
Right. So, but then a judge comes over, right, and is like, actually, Andrew forgot to take his prize. Everybody's telling me, in the audience that he forgot to take his prize last turn, so he only has 1 prize remaining. And Caleb would have never made that move had he not thought that there was 2 prizes remaining. So it's this big deal. I made a mistake. He made a mistake by not realizing that I should have taken my prize. I made a mistake because, of course, I want to take my prize because I'm trying to win the game too. So I can't just not take my prize.
If you go down to 1 prize and he keeps a bigger Pokemon up front, you might not be able to knock it out.
I might not be able to knock it out. I would have to hit a Lysander as well, which I didn't have the Lysander. So we go through. The judges deliberate. For like 15 or 20 minutes, Caleb and I are just sitting there stewing in our feelings and our emotions, and we're just raw like, oh no.
This ruling is probably going to decide.
This ruling is going to decide who makes top 8.
Or if neither of you.
Or if neither of us make top 8. So eventually the judge comes over, Pokepop comes over, sits down, and is like, listen, Andrew needs to take his prize. We haven't been giving out penalties all day for forgetting to take your prize. It's just an accident. It happens. The game continues as is. And then I get to just put my double colorless energy down, knock out the Trubbish, and we're into top 8. Woo! Everybody celebrates, having a good time. But it's just, it felt like a miracle. Like, it wouldn't have happened that way. Might not have even happened that way. I might not have even gotten to win had, this just random mistake happened. It's just like a weird twist of fate.
You said Pokepop. That's Michael Martin. One of the most experienced judges. He's been since the game, the game since the beginning. So it's like, he knows his stuff, so that's a good authority to have ruling on something like this.
It's an unfortunate situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's why, a guy that's done this for how long makes the ruling, because it's just...
Was he head judge at the event then?
No. Caleb actually appealed to the head judge, who was another dude who was sitting right there next to Pokepop giving his blessings. He sat down and just, was like, hey, yep, we're going to go with that ruling. But... Chris, you can testify to this. Anytime you do really well in a tournament, you got to get a little lucky.
You have to catch breaks.
You have to catch breaks
without playing extraordinarily well and getting lucky. You need both those things.
You need both those things. So today, last weekend, it was just one of those days where all the stars had kind of just aligned, and my good play combined with some good breaks, and things kind of just went my way.
It's like it's not like a tremendous consolation or anything, but it's like at the end of the day, like, had the ruling gone against you, the situation with both of you guys would not been in top 8.
Right.
So it's not a particularly great, like, silver lining, but it's one of those, it didn't cost Caleb his top 8 spot.
He had a chance to win the game. He had 1 prize left, and he sycamored, and he missed the cards.
Yes.
He still would have won. And it was turn 3 of time, so the game was over after my turn.
Right.
Like, it's not like he would have gotten another turn to play.
He could not have by whiffing on the second one.
No.
Okay, so now We're in the top 8. We're in 7th place. You're in 7th place
Seventh
going into the
place.
top 8?
I'm in 3rd seed going into top 8.
3rd seed going into the top
with
8.
a record of 11, 2, and 2. So I'm feeling pretty good about
Yep.
that.
You get to play, does it go 1, 8? You
So
get to play
I'm
6th
playing,
place or whatever?
Yeah, I'm playing against Sam
You get to
Chen.
go first?
No,
Oh.
I have to flip.
You have to flip to go first.
Does that mean all 3 of the top seeds ended up losing in the top 8 then?
Yes.
If that put you down to
Puts you on
7th?
seventh.
It did.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm
Yeah.
3rd seed.
So that's not common.
No.
But 5, 6, 7, 8 all get the same prize, right?
we do.
Yeah, so it's not really a
so
big
it
deal whether
doesn't
you're
matter.
5th or 7th or 8th.
No,
It's
5th
all
just
the same.
sounds a little better.
It does sound better. It does. Okay, so you get to the top 8. How do you feel when you realize you're in the top 8?
We're ecstatic, I'm like losing it. I've never hit a big, I've won a regional before, and I got 9th place
bigger
at
than that.
Worlds, so I bubbled out of Worlds.
Those are great accomplishments. Like we don't want to sell those short.
Right, but this is the biggest Pokemon tournament ever held, so I'm like ecstatic.
These
Yeah.
events
Top
are
8.
so
Really,
competitive, and they're such
really revved up.
they just really like wear on you too. Like it's
Right.
to keep at the top of your game long enough to actually make it into the top 8 is for people who haven't gone through that grind. It is just much more difficult than you can ever imagine.
So does it are you done at this point? Are you I made it, this is great, whatever happens after this is gravy, I don't really care? Or are
You're
you
kinda,
still
free-rolling?
you still got the fire, you still want to win?
I
you still...
I do want to win. I am having a little bit of that feeling low. You know what? We already out
Yeah, we
here.
did what we said to
made
do.
That
it,
weight has to be off your shoulders.
Yeah.
at that
There's a
point.
big weight off my shoulders because the whole thing is trying to make top 8.
Yeah, you proving
That's
yourself.
really what matters.
You've got a
People
nice
are going to
paycheck
remember
coming
who makes
regardless.
top 8. That's kind of the main goal. Now, of course, I'd love to win, but at this point, this top 8 is stacked. There are some great players in
Well,
top
let's go
8.
over some of the names here.
There's
right?
Ryan Sablehouse.
One of the best
there's
players in the
Sam
game.
Chen. There's this dude Tord from Norway. There's Gustavo, who's another great player.
He's been a great player for years now too, even in the younger divisions.
Isn't the winner some not even
Igor
person?
Costa had
Nord.
top 8
From
in
the
the
Nord
World.
guy?
Norway, yeah.
Okay.
Igor Costa's
Norway,
up there. He top 8 in Worlds multiple times.
He's won Worlds.
He's won Worlds. John Kettler's in there.
He
He's
was on
having
that
the most
for
fire
this
season
best.
ever.
Kettler's, again, another player who's been in the game since the early 2000s and was a great competitor all the times when I was playing in Worlds. He's always a fantastic player, and he's still, it's him and Michael Pramawat in particular, two of the, old guard who are still
Right.
just destroying this season.
They are. They're doing great. So there's just all these.
So are you
titans
the
in
most
top
green
8.
person in this top 8?
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Nice.
I'm the freshest.
Nice.
I mean,
Up there.
I don't know Tord particularly well. I know he's had a really, really strong
He's had a great season.
But it's he's another one of the players who's really starting to break through.
Right.
And I can't wait to see more out of him, too, as well.
Exactly.
We've got this new crop of players who are all really just starting to find themselves and have just great performances. And again, as an older player, it's nice to see this new crop of players come in and just really take over the game.
Right.
You find out you have to play against Sam, who dealt you your loss earlier that day.
Right.
You have to play right now too. You don't.
Right
You
away.
don't get to wait till this is Saturday night at this time.
Right.
There's a third day Sunday, but that's only reserved for the actual finals, right? So you got to play. You're
I literally-
exhausted, drained. You got to play against the guy that already beat you.
I run to Starbucks. They tell me I get 30 minutes. I'm like, you're saying I got 30 minutes. All right. Because every single one of my matches, and this is exhausting, I hadn't gotten to eat all day. Every single one of my matches went right up to time, So, I would win or whatever, or I'd lose or I'd tie. They didn't all result in ties, but they all went right to the wire.
Remind me to bring this up for our time limit discussion.
Right. So it all went right to time.
So you go to Starbucks.
I run to Starbucks, grab a bagel and a tea, come on back, and we rush down and we sit down and we start playing, and I'm fried. I actually am playing against Sam, and I'm feeling pretty good, confident because I know his list, I know what to expect this time, but I end up making a misplay in my first game, and I've shot myself in the foot. It's just a situation where I grabbed the wrong card off of teammates to attack. I grabbed a Darkness Energy when I needed to grab a Double Colorless, and I'm getting ready. I'm like, it's one of the things, I put it down, and then I realize it immediately, and I start to take up the card, and I'm just going to go grab the DCE, and Sam's like, yeah, that's cool, and the judge is like, no, you need to stop. I was like, all right, it's fine. Judge says I need to keep the darkness, not a big deal.
I actually made the exact same error back in 2008 at regionals against my friend Mikey Collins.
Yeah.
Top 8 of regionals.
Yeah.
I had to do I used a
Darium's very own Mikey.
Darium's very own Mikey Collins. I needed to grab a rare candy. I was playing a Glade Gardevoir deck, and I needed that or one of two different energies. They served the same function, except one would leave another copy in the deck for later.
Right.
And I was sitting there just in the tank trying to figure out which one would give me the smallest sliver of edge at the end of the game. and then I put the 2 cards in my hand, and I realized I grabbed 2 rare candies.
Oh my
And
god!
proceeded to lose game 3. He walked it directly into the plan that I was trying to set up.
Right.
Had I taken the right card, and instead I just lose, and I think that was the cutoff for where there's prize support.
So we take the wrong energy.
So I take the wrong energy, and it's fine. Game 1 goes downhill from there. I want to just scoop it up, but I'm just going to play it out to save face.
You also have a little longer in the top page.
We do
right?
have a little longer.
75 minutes, I believe?
It's 75 minutes for your 3 games to complete. Now, Chris and I were talking about this earlier. Now, I'm a very fast player. This is probably...
I can vouch for this.
Probably the reason, I have the ability to play fast. I don't always play fast because it's not always advantageous to play fast, but I have the ability to bang out some very fast plays and to think on my feet and to kind of slam through things. Now, Sam was a little bit of a slower player, so I felt like I was overcompensating by keeping the game moving, making quicker decisions, and that ended up kind of backfiring on me, so I make the wrong choice. It's fine. We move on to game 2. Game 2 is not going swimmingly for me. It is bad. It's to the point where my friends are like, "Oh no, he's out. This is it. Pack up your bags. We're going home." Nobody wants to watch anymore.
No.
We're kind of just turned around like, "Don't look. Oh no." It's bad.
I was actually I've been watching the stream up to this point, and
Was your match on stream?
It was on stream. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I watched the first game, and then I had to go somewhere, and I'm sitting there driving, and my phone is just being lit up with text messages of people telling me what's going on during this match. Because everybody knows, again, you're the local Ohio guy, I've known you for a number of years now, so I was getting all the updates about how you were doing. So I was sitting there trying not to crash the car, not wanting to look at my text messages to see what's going on. So I was on the edge of my seat.
He's taken 4 prizes, and I have not taken one yet. Okay, this is bad. This is really bad.
There's only so much you can come back in this format.
But I find a route.
For.
I found a route, right? And I'm like, all right, I have a clean Tapu Lele, and I had attached a DC to it because he had just Lysandered something. He'd Lysandered my last Zoroark break for the knockout. Now, he's not able to find a Garbodor this game, weirdly, right? But he Lysanders my last Zoroark break and knocks it out with his Drampa. So I realize, I have a route with this Lele here, and he has got nothing else built up on his bench. Then I'm just going to end sweep this boy out and try to do this old school Mewtwo and just Hail Mary it, right? And we're gonna hope it goes down.
So you stuck the end?
So I bring up the dude, I attach another DC, he's got 4 DCs on it, or 4 energy, 2 DCs on him now, and knock out the Drampa, go down to 4 prizes, right? He brings up something else, hits me with it, I knock that out. And then end him again, and finally, it's 2-2, and then I end up getting the 3rd DCE, so I got a 6 energy Lele to take my final 2 prizes, and he just gets nothing off. He gets a fuel blower.
Nothing off those ends.
Nothing off the ends, just back to back to back.
Yeah. That's that card end for you.
So we go to game 3. I'm super revved up. I'm excited, and I got my fire back. I'm like, okay, I got this. I can do it.
I understand. Sam is a great player. He's put up a number of top finishes. Do you think that rattled him?
A little bit, because he was just right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No matter
he
how
was right
experienced.
there. It was his for the taking. He was up 2-6. And then
that has to shake.
Has to a little bit, but he played very well game 3. And I'm playing well too. We're going back and forth. We're both making great plays, and it comes down to more and ends to 1. And so I go down to 1 prize, and he's still got 3 prizes remaining. So he ends me to 1. And then, he takes his 2 prizes on my Drampa, and then we got 1-1 prizes. And I just got a Zoroark, and all I need to do is get a Lysander and a double colorless energy. I got my Oranguru on the bench, so I'm going to instruct to draw more cards. I end up, I draw my card, it's a Rescue Stretcher. My final Zoroark break is prized. I could get a Zoroark break out of my discard and a Darkness Energy to win the game by copying Trash Lance. But I instruct, and I get no supporter to get me a Darkness Energy. So I have to Rescue Stretcher for the Shaman to draw more cards. So I grab the Shaman out of my discard, play a couple more cards, and I set up for 5. All I need is double colorless energy. I'm drawing 5. I need double colorless energy and a Versus Seeker, and I win, right? I draw my cards, handful of supporters. Nothing, right? I get a Versus Seeker, and that's it. And I have an Ultra Ball. So I go and I play the Ultra Ball, I look at my deck. Turtonator's the only Pokemon in there. It's not going to help me, but I grab him to thin things out. So what I have to do is he only's got 3 bench Pokemon, so I'm going to have to Mind Jack to attempt to knock out, but I need to play Professor Kukui to give me the plus 20 damage to knock out the Garbodor for game. I have 2 double colorless energy in the deck. I'm going to need to play Professor Kukui to draw 2 cards. If one of them is double colorless energy, I win. It's the most nerve-wracking moment of my career. This is a $1,000 Professor Kukui. I'm like losing my mind. I'm just like, oh no. And the announcers, they know it. I went back and watched later. They're like, no, he's going to have to play the Kukui to get the double colorless.
Do you remember who was doing the announcing for that?
I felt like it was Crims. I don't know though.
Yeah, who's always super excited.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite casters.
So, I draw the 2 and I whiff it. I don't get it. I ended up looking at my 3rd card and it was the double colorless. I know. So
you can't look,
At which point
I had to look. I had to look.
After you died already?
I draw the 2. It's not there. I throw my hand on the table. I congratulate Sam. I then flip over the 3rd card and it was the double colorless.
That get caught on stream too? Like flip up?
No. They had already cut to the
Ah.
side view of us laughing and stuff. So it was a good finals. It's about as close as you could, hope. And I felt like I was right there.
It
So
was a quarterfinals.
quarterfinals. That's what I meant. It was finals for me.
It was.
It's the finals.
It was. We'll get you to the finals at Worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully. But it was very close quarterfinals. So
We walked away, $1,500 richer. Case of Guardians Rising
Guardians
richer.
Rising. Yep.
Now,
Some points that you don't need.
Nope.
Right.
so
Yeah,
you're
all
not
Worlds.
you're not
17%.
quite in the point where you can be threatening to, like even going into that tournament, you weren't
No.
really in reach of the top
Even
16.
if I had won. No.
So
Gotcha.
some of the numbers that these players
Is there-
have accrued is just unbelievable
Right.
this season.
Any more professional level tournaments before Worlds?
There is not. There's
For you.
one in Russia.
Okay.
Okay.
You're not going to Russia.
I'm not
Road
going
trip?
to Russia.
Moscow?
Boat trip.
Not
There
going.
once was a bridge to get there,
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
well,
Yeah, Bering Strait.
Yeah, there you go. But it's
Not going to Russia. Yep.
Okay.
So this is it.
So Worlds is when is Worlds? That's the next
Worlds
thing you have planned,
is
right?
about mid-August.
Okay.
Um,
So right after Burning Shadows comes out?
Yep. And Burning Shadows is going to be the first set legal. It's going to be
It'll
legal.
be the first tournament legal for...
Yes, Worlds will be the first tournament where
And there
Burning Shadows
might
is
be
legal.
a rotation too, right? There's supposed
Well,
to be, right?
There's supposed to be a
Yeah.
rotation. They're
They-
going to be announcing it very
We don't
soon.
know. That might be
That'll
a
be
thing that we'll
interesting
put
to
on the competitive Pokemon channel.
Exactly.
Because that's like good news, right?
So the world and all of the viewers clearly have to know, did you open any Tapu Leles?
I actually took my case and I took my prizes. I took everything, my top 8 double colorless promo and everything. Took it straight up to the vendors, put it on his desk. He gave me $500.
Boom.
And I walked away and I went and celebrated.
Yeah,
And you
downtown
bought
Indianapolis.
$2,000 now.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you bought some Tapu Leles?
And I did buy some Tapu Leles.
Oh, yeah, true.
I did. I
So
bought 3
Justin will
Tapu
get
Leles.
his Tapu
He will
Leles
get his
back.
Tapu
You should
Leles
give him
back.
the ones that you bought back.
No.
You keep the
I
ones that you
I bought
shuffled.
full arts.
You're one of those guys, right?
So
So,
It was
so
fun
that,
time.
yeah, that's a good weekend, huh?
yeah, it was a great weekend.
Had a
So
lot of fun.
really
Did really
excited.
well. Played a sweet deck. We'll probably do a bunch of stuff on the channel. You probably want to see the deck. We'll probably do that on the channel. That's not going to be right here. We've probably taken enough of their time. But what do you want to close on? What do you want to say to the people?
just really excited to be here, working with you guys and, being able to bring competitive content, to this audience. Excited to be working with Chris. I live right down the road
I'm
from
not all
Urians.
washed up yet, guys,
So,
alright?
this is like right in my backyard. So just super stoked to be here. And, thank you guys for having us on.
Heck yeah. What do you want to end on?
I would also like to say that I'm super stoked to be driving about an hour down here to do some recordings and stuff. But no, jokes aside, I'm absolutely thrilled to be working with these guys. So
Yeah, we're excited to bring you all decks, gameplay, whether it be on Pokemon TCGO or in real life. The real life stuff's going to probably take a little while for us to get set up, so probably going to see some TCGO stuff first. We'll get these guys streaming so you can see some of that stuff in action, give you a breakdown of the most recent tournament results, all the good stuff. Why don't you all let us know what you want to see from these guys down in the comments below, what you want to see on that competitive Pokemon channel, what's good, what's not. But I think that's pretty much it. Great job this weekend, Andrew.
Sweet. Thank you, guys.
Great job this weekend, Chris.
fantastic job, man.
You did a really good job too, even though you didn't go.